If you've ever pulled a kitten out of a storm drain or untangled a deer from a fence, you probably told yourself the animal forgot you the second it ran off into the woods. Common sense says wild animals operate on pure instinct. They see a human, they see a threat, they run. End of story. But that common sense is biologically wrong. For about 200,000 years of human history, the moment a creature locked eyes with a person who saved its life, its brain didn't just feel grateful, it rewired itself permanently. That animal's neurons literally redrew the map of who counts as predator and who counts as family, and your face got stamped onto the safe list with a chemical glue stronger than almost anything else in nature. By the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly what happens inside that little skull in the 60 seconds after rescue, why most people never figure this out, and the one strange detail scientists found about the amygdala that completely changes how we think about animal consciousness. Stick around, because the part about mirror neurons at the end is going to mess with you. Let's start in the worst possible moment of an animal's life. Picture a raccoon stuck in a chain-link fence. Its heart is hammering at roughly 400 beats per minute, which, for context, is about 4 times faster than a stressed-out college freshman pulling an all-nighter before finals. Inside that raccoon's skull, a tiny almond-shaped structure called the amygdala has basically taken over the entire operation. The amygdala is the brain's smoke alarm. It doesn't think. It doesn't analyze. It just screams. And right now it's screaming one word on a loop. Predator. 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 Cortisol is flooding the bloodstream. Adrenaline is shutting down everything that isn't immediately useful for surviving the next 10 seconds. Digestion stops. Pain perception drops. The animal is, in the most literal neurobiological sense, preparing to die. Then you walk up. Now here's where it gets weird, and here's where most of what you think you know about wild animal brain function falls apart. You'd assume the fear just spikes higher when a human approaches. A bigger predator, a bigger panic. But that's not what the brain scans show. What actually happens is something researchers in the field of animal behavior science call a state collapse. It's the equivalent of a computer that's been running at 100% processor load suddenly being forced to reboot. And during that reboot, something extraordinary gets a chance to happen. But before I tell you what, I need to explain a concept that's going to be the key to this whole thing. It's called amygdala tagging. Hold on to that phrase. We're coming back to it, and when we do, it's going to explain why a crow you fed 3 years ago still recognizes your face in a crowd. So, the rescue happens. You cut the wire. You lift the animal free. In the first 3 to 5 seconds after the threat ends, the animal's brain experiences what evolutionary biology researchers describe as one of the most dramatic neurochemical swings in the entire animal kingdom. Cortisol crashes, and rushing in to fill the vacuum comes a flood of oxytocin and dopamine. Oxytocin is the same molecule that bonds a mother to her newborn. Dopamine is the chemistry of reward, of relief, of yes, this, more of this. In one heartbeat, the animal goes from believing it's about to be eaten to being washed in the most powerful cocktail of bonding chemicals its nervous system can produce. And the brain, being a pattern recognition machine above all else, asks one question. What just caused this? The answer, sitting right there in front of it, is your face. This is where amygdala tagging kicks in. Studies in cognitive psychology and neurobiology have shown that the amygdala doesn't just store fear, it stores intensity. Any experience extreme enough to max out the emotional dial gets a special little flag attached to it, almost like a bookmark in the brain. Most experiences fade. Tagged experiences don't. They become reference points the animal will use for the rest of its life. And rescue, it turns out, is one of the most powerful tagging events that can possibly happen, because it pairs maximum fear with maximum relief in under a minute. Your face just got bookmarked in the one folder the animal will never delete. Here's a quick reality check though, because intellectual honesty matters. Animal psychology explained on the internet often makes this sound like a magic spell. It isn't. Some scientists in the field of animal cognition argue that what we're calling permanent recognition is really a strong associative memory that can fade or be overwritten. Others, looking at the same data, argue the bond is genuinely lifelong and structurally encoded. The truth is, we don't fully know yet. What we do know is that the rescued animal behaves differently toward the rescuer than toward any other human, often for years and sometimes for the rest of its life. Whether you call that love, learning, or imprinting depends on which lab you ask. Now let's talk about the part everyone underestimates: mirror neurons. Mirror neurons are cells that fire both when an animal does something and when it watches something else do that same thing. They're the reason your dog yawns when you yawn. They're the reason a parrot tilts its head when you tilt yours. And they're a huge part of what researchers studying animal emotional bonding with humans believe makes cross-species trust even possible. When you approach a frightened animal slowly, when your breathing is calm, when your hands are steady, that animal's mirror neuron system is reading your nervous system like a book. It's not just seeing a human, it's feeling, in a primitive borrowed way, what you're feeling. And if what you're feeling is calm intention to help, a tiny part of its brain starts to calm down with you even before you touch it. This is the part that TED-Ed animal explainers and Kurzgesagt's biology breakdowns sometimes gloss over, because it sounds almost too good to be true. But it's measurable. Heart rate variability synchronizes. Cortisol levels drop in tandem. The animal isn't just being rescued. On a cellular level, it's being co-regulated. You are literally lending it your calmer nervous system until its own can come back online. And once it does come back online, something has changed. The animal that walks, flies, or limps away from you is not the same animal that was trapped 60 seconds earlier. It has a new entry in the deepest, oldest part of its brain, a face. A scent, a silhouette, filed under safe. This is also why rehabilitators have to be incredibly careful about which animals can be released back into the wild. A red-tailed hawk that learned humans are safe is a hawk that might land on a stranger's arm at a backyard barbecue and get itself shot. The rewiring is that thorough. The brain doesn't generalize that one specific human is safe. It often generalizes that the shape of a human, the smell of a human, the rhythm of a human voice, all of it belongs in the safe column now. And once something is in the safe column, evolutionary biology has made it very, very hard to move back out. Here's the strange detail I promised you. When researchers studying animal consciousness looked at brain activity and rescued animals weeks after the event, they found something nobody expected. The memory of the rescuer wasn't stored only in the fear and safety regions. It was also showing up in regions associated with what, in humans, we'd call autobiographical memory. The animal wasn't just remembering you as a safe object. It appeared to be remembering you as part of its own story, a character in its life, someone it knew. We don't have the language yet to say what that fully means. Scientists in animal cognition are genuinely split on whether this constitutes anything like a sense of self, or whether it's a sophisticated pattern that only looks like one from the outside. But the next time someone tells you that animal psychology is just stimulus and response, that wild creatures don't really remember, that they don't really feel, you'll know something most people never figure out. Somewhere out there, in a hollow tree or under a porch or high in the branches of a pine, there is a small brain that has filed your face away, and it is not going to forget.